So yesterday, Nick Saban hit the podium for the first time since the Agiye Hall news broke and was able to update the situation. An update we've got to break down, but we also need to talk about an offensive lineman for the Crimson Tide coming into their own and why that's so important. Before we do, as always, you all know the drill. I need to hear from you. So hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes, N for no. Do you believe that the Agiye Hall Alabama saga has come to an end? And let me know what you're thinking. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it, and we are on our push to 15,000 subscribers, and I would love to have you a part of this community. If you enjoyed the content, like and comment down below, as those interactions, though small, are massive to content creators such as myself, and both getting picked up and maintained by the YouTube algorithm. But with all that being said, let's hop right into this, and we're going to start with the Agiye Hall situation because of the recency of it all. And yesterday, when Nick Saban was asked about Agiye Hall, he came out and said that Agiye Hall is suspended from the team for a violation of team rules. But more interestingly to me, and the reason why I asked the question in the intro about do you believe if the Agiye Hall and Alabama saga has come to an end, was when Saban was asked if there was a path for Agiye to rejoin the team, to which Nick Saban answered he already had that opportunity once, so I don't know what his future plans are. That right there was intriguing to me because I'm not sure what it means, but we can all extrapolate something. Now, I'm not going to put words to what it could mean because I don't want to be involved in any speculation, but at the end of the day, this situation seems to be in a precarious place at best. And here's one thing I'll say. We all need to have an understanding whether we like the situation, whether we don't like the situation, regardless of how we feel about the situation, that at the end of the day, this is a person we're talking about, and not only a person, but a kid. Sometimes marriages just don't work, and in this case, maybe Alabama and Agiye Hall just wasn't the right fit. That doesn't mean that he's a bad kid. That doesn't mean anything negative about the University of Alabama. It could just be a fit that doesn't work, and at the end of the day, I wish all the best for all parties involved. If this is the end of the road, Agiye is a very talented player, and I'd love nothing more for him to go and find a place that makes him happy where he can realize his dream, but at the same time, if that's not Alabama, then it's not Alabama, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with Alabama realizing this, and there's nothing wrong with Agiye Hall realizing this. So, while we don't know it's for sure going to happen, the writing seems to be on the wall, and it's going to be interesting to watch, but I wish all parties the best there. Let's move on to the offensive line because this is something that's a bit tangible, something I'm very excited about because the offensive line, as many of you know, is one area that I'm actually concerned about for the Crimson Tide going into next year. And one of the things that while it can be a net positive, it's also a net negative in the fact that Alabama has multiple offensive linemen injured during this spring practices. And so yes, they're able to develop depth. They're able to get more guys, more reps, which in the long run is going to be a positive. But at the point where you're taking away reps from a line that could be your first unit offensive line, and now those guys aren't getting to gel together, those guys aren't getting to rep together, it's only so much of a net positive. However, the good news for the Crimson Tide is that a name seems to be emerging. There will need to be more than one name emerge, but so far a name seems to be emerging, and it's none other than former 5-star top 10 player in the nation, J.C. Latham. And look, I've talked at length about this. I'm never surprised when an offensive lineman comes and doesn't start year one. The difference in speed, strength, athleticism, and technique from the high school level and the college level is astronomical, and you may as well be playing an entirely different sport. But at the end of the day, when you get these guys in a system, when you get them in the strength and conditioning program and give them some time, they're going to develop, especially when they're as talented as the Brockermeyers and J.C. Latham are. So J.C. Latham coming into his own is something good to hear. Tommy Brockermeyer is another name to keep at the forefront of your mind. Another 5-star in the same class that J.C. Latham came out of when J.C. Latham was the number 1 tackle in the nation. Brockermeyer was the number 2 tackle in the nation out of the state of Texas. And Brockermeyer, though very talented, probably needed to put on some weight at the point when he came to the Crimson Tide, so I wasn't at all surprised that he sat last season. And if I'm not mistaken, please correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments, Nick Saban said he got a little bit banged up, and so whenever you have someone that got a little bit injured and they already needed to put on weight, it makes complete sense. Hey, take your time in your recovery. Take this opportunity to hit the weight room, to get more acclimated to the system. It's all good. And so year 2 could be a completely different year for the Brockermeyers, something I'm interested in watching. But the offensive line as a whole is one that I'm going to be watching incredibly closely, especially for A-Day. I understand that starting pieces are going to be out, but at that point we have at least got to see some sort of depth. There's a reason Nick Saban made a move at the offensive line coach, because what happened last year cannot happen again. It is a wonder that Bryce Young won the Heisman last year. Not in terms of what Bryce Young is able to do. Bryce Young's the best quarterback in college football, and I will argue until I'm pale in the face about that. I've been having this position for quite some time. My point there is that Bryce Young won the Heisman when the offensive line was inconsistent at best. If you give him a consistent unit at the offensive line, I shudder to think what his ceiling really is. That kid has so much ability in terms of picking apart a defense. You give him an offensive line that gives himself time, I really think sky's the limit. I'm very interested to see, and that's why I'm a little bit concerned about the offensive line. Hop down to the comments, let me know the offensive linemen you're most interested in, and we'll talk about them here soon. But with all that being said, I'm very interested in hearing in your opinion on this whole situation, Agiye Hall, the offensive line, and let me know what you're thinking for A-Day. But with all that being said, that's it. See ya.